Now we will talk about the roadmap to learn automation of UI and API testing. This is irrespective of what tool you will learn or what tool you want to learn in future. When we say roadmap, it will cover about the prerequisite part also. It will cover the mindset, how you should, prepare yourself. You should be ready to resolve any kind of issue if it comes, how to resolve those issues, all those things. Along with, you can ask your questions also if you have anything. Okay. So let's talk about first about automation of UI. Okay. So when we say automation of UI, it is generally like browser. Okay. Or we say web app testing, web application testing, or whatever you can do over the browser. Fine. Now, best way to learn about the UI automation and become a better test automation engineer is learn first HTML. Okay, learn first HTML. Don't jump directly to learning about Selenium, learning about any programming language, right? That will come later on. First thing, anybody, whether they are experienced, whether they are fresher, they should start learning with HTML first. Okay. So when we say HTML, now the question is, what are the things we should learn? How much we should learn? That is the question, right? How much is sufficient to learn? Right? Do I have to learn a lot of things, or or basic thing will work? How it will be, right? That will be the question. Whether I have to learn a lot of things or just basic will also be fine. Fine. So let's understand about that part now. HTML, you should learn in such a way or till the point where you can create your own pages, create web page, and you should be able to fill a form, you should be able to submit something, you should be able to validate something, right? All those things. At least at that, till that point, you should do it. So one of the example, if I'll show you quickly, is let's take this example. Hold on. So for example, let's say you can create, where is this? Yes, at least something like this, where you should be able to create a registration form, some background color, you should know how to do that. Text box, how to create text box in HTML, um, drop down, some text area, button, some table functionality. So for example, if here I write Nitesh, right? And I'll provide some mandatory detail here. And once I click it, see here, it's saying, hi user Nitesh. Right? So whatever thing you will provide here, right, we are able to capture it. See here. If I click here, it's saying, hi user, UI test lobby. So till this point, at least I'm saying minimum, you should know this much HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now the question is how to learn this thing. Best way to learn basic things about HTML is through W3 schools. So there is a website called W3 schools. And from here, you can learn. You have to make a roadmap. Okay, this much time I will invest into this. These are the things I'll complete. So at least till this point, HTML form you should complete. So around 25 chapters, if you will go one by one, you will be able to do it. And it's fun to do this thing. It's simple, it's fun to do this thing, right? Obviously there are some theoretical part, but more of like exploring the thing. So for example, you have to make your own website. Okay, I want to create my profile website, which will look like there will be my photo, there will be my bio detail, there will be my LinkedIn profile link, there will be something related to my cities map. You can think about like whatever you want to. I'm giving just one example that okay, this is a basic thing that at least this much you should fine. But learning wise, there are a lot of things to learn. Question is why we should learn this thing, right? Why we should learn. The question is why we should learn HTML. You may be thinking that no, it's a very small thing. I have done in my colleges, right? Or I know already all these things, right? It's fine. If you know all these things, it's perfectly fine. But if you have not practiced yet, I'm telling you, learn this thing. It will make lot of difference when you actually automate it. So whoever has automated already using Selenium or some other tool, they will agree with me that most of our time when we automate is consumed in finding the elements. Correct? Anybody agree on that? They can put in chat window. The thing is, if you're automating, you're doing some automation task, and let's say the allocated time is 9 hours to automate something. Believe me, more than 5 hours, you will your time will be consumed in finding the element properly, creating the XPath, CSS selector, and all. The rest of the 4 hours, you will make your own functions, something you will do. More than 50% of the time will be consumed on finding the element. So when we say finding the element, what it is? So let's assume this is a website or any other website you will take, test.techlib.in, this one. And there is a login page. Now you want to automate this page where you want to provide some user ID, some password, you want to click on the login. So for example, let's say if I'll put this, I'll put some wrong password, I will click on login. So this message should come, right? So for this, you have to identify a lot of things like this text box, this password text box, this button, and then this particular message. Everything is an element. So in technically we say it's a page element. It's a web element. Okay. So for example, this particular text box, if I do right click here and I'll say inspect, I'll be able to see the code behind this. I should be able to see the code behind all this. Okay, so see here, let me do increase the font here. So here I did right click and inspect, or you can use it F12 to open this. This is called dev tool. If I click here and if I'll inspect this again, so this is showing me that for this text box, the background code is input type is equals to text, ID is equals to login email, class is equals to this, placeholder is equals to this, required autofocus. Now the question is, who will be the better test automation engineer? A person who somehow create the XPath or the locators for this element, or another person who actually understands every bit of it. Let me copy this. Copy it. Let's put it here. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. And I'll allow everyone to talk now. So my question here is, if anybody can answer, when we see this, right, what does this mean? Forget about the how it is looking like in the UI. Can anybody explain me that, okay, when we say input type is equals to text, ID is equals to something, class is equals to something, placeholder is equals to something, required is equals to something, autofocus is equals to something. What it means? Anybody want
Web
to try
element
this? Yes, it's a web element, but what? Like,
properties.
yes, it's a web element properties. What else? So can you explain everything like input, type, ID, what it is? Anybody want to explain this? Believe me, guys, these are important. Okay. The time, if you know all these things, you will be able to automate in a faster way. You will be more confident when you write your code for the automation. Right? Anybody here want to explain everything about what is input, what is type, what is ID, what is class and all?
For a text field, we use the tag input.
Okay.
ID is
Then,
a very primary attribute, so it has the highest priority.
okay. Then
Yeah, so
class.
yeah, the class, yeah, so the priority goes on.
No, 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 no. You are going in automation side. I am asking if this is written and somebody will ask you in interview that, okay, what is the meaning of this? How it will look like in the user interface? How
It's a text box.
it will be a text box. Okay. And what else? That's it. So text box will be created by this also. If I'll say input type is equals to text, this will create me text box. Believe me, let's try this. So how to write the HTML code? It start with HTML. And HTML is fun, guys. If you are thinking that it will take too much time, that's wrong. It won't take that much time. See here, I'll create within 1 minute all these things. I'll say body. So these are like minimum required things to create a website. Body start, body end. And here I'll create input type is equals to text. Okay. And I will save this somewhere. So I will save it in my, hold on, hold on, hold on. I'll save it in my workspace, training workspace. Hold on. Yes. Here, yeah, here I'm. It's just temp.html. So I'll save it as all type and I'll give the name temp.html or any name I can give, example.html, something like that. So this is created temp.html. If I'll open this, see here, text box is created. Text box is created when I write this. Right? My question was, what does this mean? The whole thing. No? So to know these things, we should learn HTML. That's my point. If you are more familiar with what is happening here, you will be able to automate it very easily. You will be able to select, okay, what kind of attribute I will use to find it uniquely. Okay, so one of the tasks for the test automation engineer is finding the element uniquely so that you can play around it. So you can send the text, you can click on it, whatever you want to do with this text box, you will be able to do this. Okay. So my now the question is what it is. So let's understand one by one. Input is a tag. So HTML works with the tag, TAG, tags. These are called tags. Okay. So there are multiple different kind of tags. Input is just one of that. Whenever you say input, it's generally related to what you want to get it from the user, any particular action. Here, the action is getting the text. Here, the action is getting the text. So when you say input type is equals to text, it will create a text box. So whenever you write input type is equals to text, it will create a text box. We have seen this example. I wrote this thing, this one, I wrote this thing and it creates one text box. Fine. Going back, going back to that. Fine. What is ID is equals to login underscore email? This is not going to make any difference. This will be like, okay, like it is not going to define the text box. You have defined the text box by writing type is equals to text. ID you are providing so that developer or the test automation engineer will be able to identify this text box uniquely, because let's say there are two text box. Let's say there are two text. I can create one more text box. How to create one more text box? Copy this, create one more text box, and in between you want to give line break. So you can write BR. Okay, this is the way to put the line break. Okay, so there will be separation of line. Let's go back there, refresh this. See here, two text box has come. You want to give one more line break because it's not looking good. Let's give two more. Let's refresh this. Yes. So this text box are created. But at the time of automation, let's say you want to provide here some text as a user. I want to put India, something like this. But then how you will identify it uniquely? So to identify the things uniquely, what developer, the UI developer, what they do is they provide some unique identification for that, right? So here they are providing ID is equals to login underscore email. But don't expect that every time it will happen, right? It's a good practice from the dev side if they are providing the ID to identify something uniquely. So because this text box was related to the email thing, so they have provided some meaningful ID, right? It's like this. Then what is this class is equals to form control? Let's understand this part now. Why they are providing the class? Class is generally related to the CSS part. Class is generally related to the look and feel. So there are two kind of developers. One is UI developer, UX developer, right? Front end developers are there. So what they do is I'll create this text box. So my task is, okay, one person will say, okay, hey, I am creating the basic structure. The website will look like this, right? I have created. But now we want the beautification. Like, okay, this is not aligned. Please align it. This age, somewhere in the text area here, some default text should come. The this thing should come in yellow color or the yellow background. This table should not come here. It should be right aligned at the top. So this table should not come here. This should come here. Or the size of the table should be different. There should be different kind of border in the table. This ATM should be okay centrally aligned. Lot of things, right? So what developer does is they provide the class so that based on this, wherever related to text box or particular kind of class is there, they will showcase it properly. So for this, you should learn. For this, you should learn CSS. That's why I'm saying these all those things are important. CSS. So why we should learn HTML? The reason is to know your web application better, okay, and to find element easily. Find element easily and quickly. Why you should learn CSS? To understand about other attributes related to, related to, I'm saying look and feel of the page. Generally, right? It's like this. That's it. This is about this. Now, what I was saying is learning roadmap. Let's talk about it. So I said that, okay, invest the time on learning HTML every day, 1 hour. If you will do it within 15 days, you will be in a position to write your own website, at least static websites, right? There are two kind of website: static website, dynamic website. Static website where the content is static, it's fixed. So for example, this can be a static website because see, the content is not changing, it's still same. There is no dynamically generated content are coming here. Forget about this as of now, ignore this advertisement. This is not the part of the website. Okay. So they are showing some advertisement. That is a secondary part. Important thing is the basic content of this website are fixed. You can create this kind of website on your own. And a test automation engineer should be clever enough to create a simple web page on their own, or at least should be able to understand everything about one element. And if you don't know, let's assume you don't know what is this placeholder, ask your UI developer. The task of a test automation engineer is not just to automate somehow. They should educate themselves. They should try to understand the things in a better way, so that in future they will be automate the things in a better way. Okay, simple thing. Placeholder, what is this placeholder? Google it. Why we give the placeholder in the any element? You will get the answer why we are doing it, right? It's like this. As of now, here, if you see, by default, it is showing email address, correct? By default, it is showing email address. The same thing is here. When you say placeholder, it describes the default detail of it, right? It's like sometimes people use tooltip. TOOLTIP. Tooltip is generally when you hover over it, it will show something. Please fill out this field, right? This tooltip is coming. So that may be coded somewhere in the where the class is defined, right? Required. So required will show whether this field are mandatory or not. Autofocus will be true or false, which will show whether this field will be automatically focused or not. Okay. Or talk with your UI developers. What does this mean? See, everything should be clear. It's not like that test automation engineer should worry about, okay, ad is present or not. I want to identify the element somehow. You should know all these things. Why autofocus they have put? Everything has a reason, and we should try to understand it. It won't take much time. If you will ask your developer, they will happily will tell you that why these things they use, or Google it. Okay. Okay. Going to the next part, CSS. So what is the roadmap? Okay, let's define the roadmap here itself. HTML, then CSS, then so we are talking about the UI part. So I'll write it here. Then then JavaScript. I'm not saying Java, it's JavaScript. Fine. Same thing. If you want to learn this thing, you can learn it from here. So HTML 20 to 25 pages, 15 days it will take, sorry, 20 to 25 chapters, right? So let me write it here, the timing and everything also. 25 chapters, let's say, 15 hours it will take around. CSS, let's say first 15 chapters, 10 hours, because here you will do a lot of trial and error thing you will do. So it will be fun to do that. Then JavaScript basic. I'm talking about the basic as of now. So let's go to that part. Now the question is why to learn the JavaScript. So let's understand that part. See, as a QA, we should be curious about why we are doing it. What is the reason? Right? If that purpose, you'll be able to do anything easily. First thing is why we should do it. We'll talk about it.